So new project, new directory, R package, clever. So I don't have any source, I don't have anything to go with. I'm gonna say also create a Git repository.
Yeah.
Packrat's a totally different thing. We can talk about that. Create a project. So it's gonna open our new RStudio session. And then up here you'll see that's the packet, the name. So what it does when you go through RStudio, which is not so great, what it does is it creates this hello world, which is okay, but I don't need it. So also it puts a hello.rd in the manual folder. So what I'm going to do is just click and delete. Don't need that. I'm actually going to go back and go into the R folder and delete this as well. So I don't need any of this stuff. I know what functions I'm going to create for the most part. Okay. So I'm going to make a PCA leverage function. I'm going to just take in something called x. And we're going to call it a matrix. So I'm going to write PCA stats. What is it? Oh, PR comp.
Yeah, print comp.
So I'm going to use
SVD though. It's like high dimensional, so you're going to need to like do some transposing and stuff like that. I mean, I have all the code, and
what is it? Is it fast SVD?
I just use the SVD function.
Yeah,
because
regular.
it's pretty low dimensional once you put it in the.
Yeah, but you got to pick the sides.
Yeah, I have like a stupid automated way to do that. I gotta get on
Okay. There's like a fast.prcomp function.
I think the SVD one might be the fastest way because I remember I've had to play around with it.
This does the SVD.
But does it do it on the small square matrix?
Yeah.
Okay.
So fast.prcomp,
So
fast.s.
which dimension is smaller?
Yeah. So I want to use this. This is in G models, right? This is a good example. Okay, so I want this function, right? So I'm just going to put in x result. All right, so now what I'm going to do is highlight this. I'm going to say code, insert Roxygen skeleton, voila. So calculate, so this is the title. So calculate the leverage for a principal component analysis. Right? X is, so I'm going to say, so it's just going to be a data matrix of values. I'm going to say it's passed to code link prcomp. Okay, actually fast.prcomp. Okay, so what am I saying here? So this is a little bit different. So code is saying like, I want you to print it out like you see here in these things where it's like a different monospace font and all that kind of stuff, so you know it's code. Link is actually allows you to link things. So when you click prcomp, for example, it jumps over to this. So that's what link does. So you put link in there if you want to link out and have like hyperlinks, and then code if you want it to be presented a little bit differently. For example, this look different text-wise than and, for example. Okay. All right. So now we're going to say return. It's going to return a. For now, we're not going to say. Right now, we're just going to say what we want it to return eventually is probably a list of components and the leverage. Okay. Examples, we don't have anything right now, but now the fact that we are importing from the gmodels package the fast.prcomp function. Okay. That's all we're doing for right now. So right now, this function is exactly the same thing as fastpr.com, with actually less options, fewer options. So I'm going to call it PCA leverage. You can change this later. All right, great.
Why did you save it? Did you have to save it in that?
So it's always saved in the R folder. So all script, all R code that you want to be able to include in your package is in the R folder. Then we're going to go over to the description file, and I'm going to start changing some things here. What does the package do? So calculate leverage of component models. Right?
God, this is so sweet.
The version is, let's just keep it as such. Author right now is me, John Michelle. And I'm going to put my email. We're going to change this if you have multiple authors. I'm going to put Mandy's name in here eventually because she's the one who actually made the method. Maintainer is exactly the same for now. And a description. So, principal component components analysis. So this extends principal components analysis, or actually extends the linear model leverage idea to principal components analysis, right? For now, the name is based on components, so component leverage or clever. Okay. What license is it under? So this is a little bit dependent on how you want to share your code. I use the new public license, 2 or 3. There are different versions of it, so you can just reference it like that. And then you have to say, so we're going to use this package again, so that it's kind of consistent with what we taught. Use.
So you guys starting on a package?
We are.
Sweet. So you're totally welcome to continue working here. We also have a conference room which has like power and a slightly nicer setup. So
Sweet.
Yeah.
Stay here as long as you want.
Allie, what's the thing to add a package in the imports field again? Oh, great.
I think by default it's imports.
Yep. So by default it's imports, and that's what we're going to do. So we want gmodels, and we'll see it change over here. Imports gmodels. Okay.
Oh, so I have downloaded use this, and then
And then when you're in this package structure, so that's the nice thing when you use these RProj folders. So let's I'm just gonna open up. Doesn't matter about what I just did there. All I did was want to open this folder. So now what was added when we did all this stuff? So don't worry about these things. These are hidden folders. But it made a Git repository. The description file which we're looking at, it made an RProj folder, so an R project folder. So that's what we're seeing up here. And when you open these, it automatically changes that directory, and it understands that you're living within this directory. Okay? Creates an R folder, which had that hello world thing. We got rid of that. Now it's got this PCA leverage thing. We created this namespace file, and it doesn't have anything in the man folder because we deleted it. We can talk about what gitignore and buildignore do. They are, as they say, when you push things to Git, sometimes you don't want everything to go online. Say, what do you want to ignore? Or also when you're versioning things locally, say like, this is just a temporary file. I don't want you to keep track of it. That's, for example, what's in a gitignore. Sometimes when you have things in a package, an R package, you want to compile it and make it maybe that's stuff for Git so that people can download additional data or other things like that that aren't relevant to this package. So that's what the buildignore file is. So it says, when you build it in R, ignore it. Okay, so right now, there's a couple other things we need to change. So if you look at build, configure build tools. So by default, it says generate documentation with Roxygen. You want to check that, yes. I want to use Roxygen to generate my vignettes, and I want to automatically Roxygenize anytime I rebuild the package. Also, when I check the package as CRAN, so I want a little bit more stringent checks than default, because I eventually want to get this somewhere where other people can use it, and I want to be hopefully as stringent as possible. You don't have to do this until later, until your package is kind of like set. This package is super simple, so it should be okay. Now, we say build. We can load all the functions, install it, and restart R, clean everything out and rebuild. So, that's what that did. Ooh. So right now, the default namespace file, it's not really great. This is what comes in, bless you, it comes in with the R package when you clicked all those buttons. This, Roxygen will not overwrite by default, which is kind of not a great thing to start out with. So use this, use namespace. So do you want to pre-existing right over it? Yes, I do. So what it'll do is it'll put this thing at the top. It doesn't look like anything really changed, right? Which it didn't. But when I rebuild it, Roxygen will see this tag, understand to say like, hey, even though what was ever in there before, you didn't want that. Or I'm going to regenerate it based on your documentation. So this is telling, when you install this package, it says, hey, I want you to expose this function called PCA leverage so that if you download it or you download it, you can use that function. And whenever I'm running this package, I know that I need to import this function from this package. So that when I say fast.prcomp, it says, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't have a function called that. It understands that. Okay? And other things that'll be, so this gets a little bit more complicated when you create methods and all these kind of other things that are a little bit more advanced, or when you include data in the package, for example. So Now what we can do is we can then, so that is like step 0 of if a package like works. Can you literally install it, right? So the next step, we can say check it. So it's going to go through a bunch of things. It's going to check the package dependencies, make sure you have everything on your machine that you need. Look at certain encodings, seeing whether it can be installed, make sure all your documentation's up to date and kind of coincides with the way your functions are defined, all that fun stuff. And then it will give you a report that hopefully it says 0 errors, 0 warnings, 0 notes. Sometimes you may see something up here. Oh, if it's a new package, sometimes there are some notes. I will say that when you Roxygenize, if you have an empty example, it's going to give you a little bit of a warning here. That's not when you check the package. This is just saying like, hey, you have a field in here that says examples. You got to put some code there. Otherwise, I'm just going to remove it because it's useless. It's just extraneous documentation. So, like for example, now let's make an example. So X is a matrix, R norm, 10, R norm, let's say 100 times 3, n col equals 3. Just make it a matrix. Okay. So the nice thing, so Command Enter or Control Enter. When you're in this Roxygen framework, only in RStudio, it understands that although you have little things out in front, it doesn't really matter. We see that the result comes out. So this is what we get back. We can save it, reclean and rebuild or redocument. What that'll do is it'll remake that RD file so that now when we say PCA leverage, this is the output. This is the output documentation. Calculates leverage. PCA leverage is how you use it. This is the thing. We see the link here. Now we're all good.
Oh my gosh, that's cool.
Right? So now when we check the package, we're not going to get any warning from Roxygen. Examples is filled in. Everybody's happy. If you didn't want to put an example, or you didn't have the time, or you're going to move on to something else, you can just delete that for now.
Okay.
Or you could keep it, and then that could kind of notify you later that you're like, hey, I forgot to do this. All right, that's the